Hello, welcome back or welcome to the NGS Super STEM Week discussion. As the Chief Investment Officer of NGS Super, I'm educated in finance with decades of experience as an investment professional. In this series, we're discussing how NGS integrates science, technology, engineering and maths into our investment portfolio. Now, if you love these sorts of subjects at school, you could even end up working in investments or even a superannuation fund like NGS Super one day. Today, I'm joined again by Dr. Robert. Welcome, Dr. Rob.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
And in this episode, we're going to be diving into 3D printing. So what is your role at NGS Super? And how did you come to research this new way of creating objects?
So my role at NGS is as a quantitative researcher. So I help the team sort of put together a collection of investments. And to do this, I use mathematical models to sort of estimate things like how much we think prices might change in the future, but also how risky we think our investments might be. So I started researching 3D printing because I believe that it's sort of got the power to change humanity for the better. And 3D printing could make it easier and faster to create all sorts of things. So this could be, simple everyday objects, but more importantly, this could be complex parts for sort of really R&D intensive industries like healthcare, aerospace, and others.
So could you tell me a little bit more about what you're talking about when you say 3D printing and why is science important for investors to understand?
So 3D printing, which is also sometimes known as additive manufacturing, is essentially this new way of creating things. And what it does is build objects by layering material piece by piece using computer digital designs. So this is kind of different from traditional manufacturing techniques where you might cut away material from a block, or perhaps you might use a mold. And thinking about this, one of the big advantages of 3D printing is its potential to significantly reduce waste and increase manufacturing speeds. And this, of course, is very useful when you need to make unique and complex objects. And so I think investors need to understand some of the technology behind 3D printing so that we can stay up to date on new improvements, such as the creation of new printing materials. And when we know these kinds of things, we can then make informed decisions to identify companies and industries where this technology could be used to gain a competitive advantage. So another kind of interesting thing is that 3D printing can also help us with our sustainable investment goals here at NGS. In particular, our carbon neutral 2030 target. And this is because 3D printing only uses the amount of material necessary to make an object.
So you're combining again your educational background to research areas of potential investments for the fund. So could you tell us a little bit about why this is important and what you've uncovered as part of your research?
So I guess my academic background has really helped the most to kind of analyze the risks and returns associated with investments in the 3D printing industry. But also I'm really fortunate to work with a lot of talented people here at NGS, and in particular, people who do actually have engineering backgrounds as well. So this kind of makes it really interesting to discuss sort of new trends in the field and new improvements, because we can take my point of view from perhaps the more financial perspective and my colleague's point of view from the engineering perspective. We can have a really good discussion about these kinds of things and what implications they have for investments. So I think an interesting finding from our research was that 3D printing has the potential to reduce waste and create a more sustainable manufacturing process. For example, this could be using polymers that are constructed from recycled materials. For us, that's really important because it can help us meet our carbon neutral goals and our sustainable investment goals here at NGS, while also delivering really good returns for our members. I think another interesting finding as well is that you can even 3D print houses, and there's a lot of development going on in that space. So these 3D printed homes are basically built by machines that build layer upon layer, basically using a big sort of printer on a large scale. These 3D printed homes can help to alleviate supply issues and potentially create really low-cost sustainable housing, which is going to be really important in the future.
So how do you apply this research in the context of investing?
Because the 3D printing industry is still developing, I think investing in startups is a great way to get involved. We could also look at investing in companies that design the materials that are used in 3D printing. So for example, companies that might develop a really unique polymer that has a lot of wide-ranging applications. This idea of 3D printing construction companies is, I think, another really interesting area to consider for investment as the technology matures.
I can clearly see that there's a lot of opportunity in 3D printing to reduce plastic waste and create more sustainable tomorrow. Our investment team relies on these experts across engineering, science and maths. So working on these skills in your studies can lead to careers that are both exciting, rewarding and beneficial to society.